What's up, game boys and girls? Big T here, back with another video, and this one is going to be controversial. Although I don't think it should be, but it probably will be with some people. Actually, I just was thinking about it recently because of the whole kerfuffle when it comes to Microsoft and like some of the anti-Microsoft fanboys dancing around saying that Microsoft is bowed out and they quit consoles, which literally isn't true, but I get it. And it just got me thinking about the fact that Nintendo already did that. Yeah, so we all know the Wii U, we love the Wii U, and but most of the gamers out there did not. It only sold 13.5 million units, as we all know. Fantastic games library, but didn't sell well. And it just got me thinking about the evolution versus revolution of Nintendo. You guys know my theory on that, and also about the fact that once Nintendo faced some really stiff competition, they've kind of been up and down as far as their success. I was watching this old video. I think it was about Space World 95, and it was talking about the Ultra 64, and the lady was just kind of talking about how Nintendo, the biggest game company in the world, and they dominate and whatnot. And I was like, man, it was crazy that they didn't see what was coming from the PlayStation. The PlayStation, I think, had already been out by the time that happened, by the time that video was produced in 95, and it was just like they had no idea what was coming, I guess. Maybe it was a little arrogance or whatnot, but obviously Sony came in and blew the market open and sold 100 million units on the original PlayStation. And PS2 is still currently the highest selling console of all time, and they've been mostly inconsistent since PlayStation came in as far as how many units they've sold. They started with, I want to say, 60 million for the Nintendo Entertainment System, the NES, and then when they got to the Super Nintendo, it dropped a little bit, but still they got some competition from Sega. Obviously, Sega, I believe, outsold the Super Nintendo in North America at least, but overall Super Nintendo did better. So they lost, some market with that, and then Sony and then Microsoft came in, and it just became like, whoa, without the kind of phenomenon that was the Wii, Nintendo would have been in even more trouble because of the competition. And I think the Wii U was kind of like, all right, this is it. We're pretty much done with traditional gaming consoles, and I think that was a good decision for them. Now, some people will push back and say, oh no, the Switch is a console. And yes, well, first I would ask you, why do you feel that way? And then secondly, and I'm only coming to this realization recently because I haven't really thought about it until I started buying handheld PCs. But what makes it a console? And if you feel like the Switch is a console, yes, you can play it like a console, but I could do that with my PSP. Technically, you get a little dongle and you can hook it up to the TV. So is that what makes it a console? The fact that you can hook it up to a TV? Even though the experience of the Switch is built for this, it's built for this first. And obviously it comes with a dock, and you can switch it to handheld, or switch it to the dock, or switch it to the TV, right? So what makes it a console, or a traditional game obviously not traditional, but what makes it a home console? Is it the fact that it hooks up to your TV? Because like I said, PSP did that, and I don't think anybody would call that a console. But now, like I said, we have gaming PCs. This is the Steam Deck, and this is literally a home console. This is a handheld console. And first, this is a gaming console, and people will push back and say, "Oh no, it's it has a Steam OS, or it has Linux. There's a Linux desktop." You boot this thing up, the first thing it goes to, without even asking you, is it goes to Steam. It goes to your Steam gaming library, your Steam software, which is about video games. Yes, you can then boot into desktop mode, but this is a console first, a gaming piece of hardware first that lets you do PC stuff. Now there are other ones that don't, that start off with Windows, and depending on the software. I'll wipe the screen a little bit here. You have, this is my Legion Go. So what makes the Switch a console or home console and this not? Is it the fact that it docks and you can play it like a home console? Well, here's my dock for my Legion Go. Plop this bad boy in here, plug that in. This is now a gaming console, and quite a bit more powerful actually than the Switch. So it's definitely not a power thing, because yes, this is not as powerful as your PC. This is powerful. This is more powerful than some people's PCs, but this is not as powerful as a traditional gaming PC. But there it is. It's docked, and that is a console now. Same thing with this. Is the dock what's keeping this from being a handheld or being a home console? Well, there you go. There's the dock for my Steam Deck. This dock was, I believe, $25 for the Steam Deck, and the dock for my Legion Go was $35, somewhere around there. And so, yes, the Switch comes with the dock. Is that what's stopping these systems here from being home consoles? Is that they don't come with a dock? Well, that's weak. Well, I would say it's kind of a joke, because this dock, well, I don't even want to pull it out, it's too much trouble, but my Switch dock is $100, $80 to $100 at retail, when I just told you the price for these bad boys. So it's way cheaper. Obviously these are more expensive units. Actually not much. If you get the LCD Steam Deck, it's $350. So it's the same price as a OLED or OLED Switch. So it has a better screen, but this one is much more powerful than the Switch. So it's a give and take situation there. And it comes with more onboard memory. Obviously, you have to do that because, unlike the Switch, it doesn't have physical cartridges or whatnot. But I don't know why people would take offense to the fact that Nintendo clearly bowed out of home consoles because the competition was too much. It was too uncertain with home consoles. Even when they had an excellent, I should have had this bad boy ready to go. I'll just pull this one out. Home console with great power and great responsibility. No, with really good power. Comparable to everybody else. More powerful than the PS2. And comparable to the power of the Xbox, the original Xbox. I'm not going to pull that out now, but you know what I'm talking about. I like to have visual aids sometimes because it gets boring just seeing me sit here. Actually, you know what? I'm going to pull it out, but I'll make too much of a mess. But there it is. There it is. My OG Xbox. So, let me get it again. This thing is huge. That's what she said. You can see the size difference in these bad boys. Yeah, so compare power-wise, this is pretty close to this in many instances, many games. If you look at something like a Rogue Squadron, Rogue Leader, Rogue Squadron 2 on the GameCube, I mean, is there anything on Xbox that looks that good? Maybe. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. Some of the later games, perhaps, it's different too. But none of the flying games looked as good as Rogue Leader. Maybe you could say some of the FPS games looked better than possibly what could happen on a GameCube. But it was very close. But Nintendo puts out this stellar console, power-wise, It has discs. Obviously, there's a little differences with that, but that didn't hurt it the way people like to portray it. The mini disc on the GameCube, because we had multiple disc consoles all the way up until that point. 360 has multiple disc games, where the PlayStation 3 didn't. So it had all that going for it, and still it only managed to sell 21, almost 22 million units. That's craziness. And then obviously the Wii was a phenomenon, and Nintendo was able to tap into a whole new market with that. But if they hadn't done that, the Wii, what would the Wii have actually sold? 30 million maybe? But it did tap into a whole new market, and that's what made that happen. And then obviously, what happened to Wii U. Now, I would say, if the Switch, and I don't think this is crazy, if the Switch was not a Switch, let's say it had comparable power to what it has right now, and it was only a docked console, it was only a console that hooked up to your TV, a traditional console, this would not have done as well. I think it would have done better than Wii U maybe, if it had the same games. But who knows if it would have had the same games that it got, because it got those games because it sold well. Now, had the Switch just been, Wii U 2 or whatever, without the gamepad or whatever, if it was just a traditional console, I'm not sure it would have done as well. I know it wouldn't have done as well as this is done. The fact that this is a portable you can take anywhere is why it sold. Nintendo was really good with portable consoles. When they had really stiff competition, the PSP sold 80 million units, and the DS sold 154 million units, and way more software. So it was able to beat back, a system that everybody thought, oh, Nintendo's done. You see the PSP, it's amazing. See what it can do. But Nintendo still slaughtered the PSP in sales and market share. So yes, this is a handheld first. All the experiences on this have to make sure the handheld works well first, before they can decide what the dock's gonna do. And the dock don't do much, and I thought it did at first. And those the rumors about it. Maybe it's does some extra computing when you no, it just basically upscales it to 1080p if the game will allow it on your screen. It doesn't do anything more than this flimsy little dock here does. This one actually, it does well. The OLED does, because it actually has Ethernet port, but the original Switch dock doesn't do anything more than this, and it was more than twice more expensive than this thing. And like I said, this console puts out better visuals, and it gets more games than the current Switch. So yeah, the Switch is a handheld that you can hook up to your TV, just like this is a handheld that I can hook up to my TV, and just like this thing, oh, I got it still hooked up. This is a handheld that I can hook up to my TV. This is so close because you can literally take off these Joy-Cons basically and do exactly what the Switch does. But this is obviously more expensive, but it's a lot more powerful than the Switch. And here you go. Now I have, basically the same thing as, let me see if I can reach it here. I just had, oh, there it is. Right. Basically the same thing as what this does. It's literally the same thing. Now this isn't as intuitive. Like, I had to go to China to buy this little grip that comes in the box with the Switch. And maybe in the future, these guys need to think about this kind of stuff, because this can't be that more expensive. This is like, I bought this for $16. I mean, from China, obviously, but it can't be that much more resources to put this into the box for your Legion Go. They need to think outside of the box, and like some people are going to use this like a traditional console, the same way people use the Switch when they dock it. So it's the same thing. And this, like I said, offers you more because you get, this is a Windows PC, and you get much better visuals and way more games than you would ever get on the current Switch. Now, Switch 2 is probably going to change that, but I'm not sure how much more whatever Nintendo is planning on spending and or putting into the power of the Switch 2. That that could change things. But yeah, so people give Microsoft so much crap about dropping out. They just like Nintendo, they've been inconsistent. The original Xbox sold barely better than GameCube. The 360 did a lot better, sold like 84 million units. And then the Xbox One goes down, I think, to 45 or 50 million. And then the Series X and S are not going to do that. And so they say, hey, we've got to reach more people. So let's make a platform on PC, on mobile, so we can reach more people with the games that we make and that we own. And that just made more sense. And then Nintendo did the same thing. Nintendo realized that they can't go punch for punch with Microsoft and Sony when it came to console sales, because their consoles aren't as powerful. They have to rely on, their IPs to sell it, and that didn't work out when it came to Wii U. Obviously, there are other factors. The games, there was a learning curve for Nintendo with HD gaming. These are things that was their own problems that caused delays in games. But I think even if everything was all cylinders go, the Wii U was probably not going to do more than 35 million units, which is fine. I mean, that's good for Nintendo, but I think Nintendo would love to sell 150 million units every time. And this helps them do that because they're really good with handhelds. And that's what the Switch is. It's a handheld that can hook up to your TV. And I don't think that's a big issue. I think Terminator Juice brought this up some time ago. I didn't really think about it that much. Not sure I disagreed with him at the time when he said that, but it's clearly the case. It's clearly the case. And that's fine. It's not a big deal. They still get similar games. Like I said, these handhelds get the same game. And they look closer to what you get on the consoles, like this right here. It won't quite get the frame rate. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it gets 60 frames sometimes it gets 60 frames in games that don't get 60 on console. It's just, some tweaking you got to do. So it's fine. It's still, Nintendo knows where their bread is buttered, and they chose to focus on that. And that's what helped the Switch sale. The fact that you could take it anywhere. And that's where I am as a gamer right now. I'm really excited about that. Because this is, not just a portable PC. This is a portable Xbox for me. I can take my Xbox anywhere. And I'm talking about natively downloaded games. And cloud is only getting better. GeForce Now seem to have figured it out, when Microsoft is still not quite there. I think Sony is closer, which is weird because Sony has a deal with Microsoft for their servers. So I don't know why they're better. Not a lot better, but it shouldn't be better. But eventually everybody's going to have GeForce Now cloud, and it's almost seamless if you've done GeForce Now. So yeah, this is where we are. This is what's going on, and I'm excited for it. And I understand that, people love to hate Microsoft. I get it. I don't think they're any more nefarious than Sony has been historically in gaming, but they get way more of a pass because, they've been around one generation longer. They've only been around one generation longer than Microsoft when it comes to gaming. And, that's almost not true as well, because Microsoft was, they had software on Windows, and Sony back in the mid 90s, early to mid 90s. So they just haven't had consoles. They came up 5 years after, 5 6 years after the PlayStation 1 to bring their first console. So there's other reasons people build up in their head to hate the company, and it's easy to, but they're making the most money. I mean, they made the right decision, and they're still making consoles, and I think they should. I'll do another video where I talk about, I think their strategy is a little bit off. They're almost there, but you know, they did what you do. You adjust to the competition, and so, you know, with Nintendo selling 150 million units and Sony selling 100 million units, you know, they realize, you know, it's hard to only worry about a console, and that's not smart going into the future when so many more people have devices that don't require you to buy a $500, $600, $700 box. If you want to do that, fine. We'll still make a console. That's what Microsoft is saying, but you don't have to do that. We're not making a barrier anymore. So I think that's a good thing. I don't know. I feel like I'm in another universe sometimes when I see people react to certain things. But yep, that's my take. The Switch is a handheld that you can play like a console. You can dock it. But there are other devices in the past that have done that, and the devices currently that do that. And so it's fine. All right, that's my video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you think the Switch is a home console, traditional home console? I think it's what you want it to be. That's what's cool about it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you again for watching and listening, and I'll see you fools next time. Peace out.